What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Legit Whiskey Reviews, and today we're doing another blind. So I haven't done a blind in a little while, and I thought these two would be perfect to do a blind with. They're exactly the same proof, so 101 proof, 50.5% ABV for both of these. Although the Maker's Mark 101 is a wheater, I just thought it would be like a good comparison and a good blind to do, because I know which one my favorite is. So, you know, like I said, we have a Maker's Mark 101 versus Wild Turkey 101. As a lot of you know that have watched my previous videos, I'm a big Wild Turkey fan, so I'm thinking Wild Turkey is gonna win. But that's why I like doing blinds from time to time, because you know, when you're not looking at the bottles, you don't know what you're gonna like until you actually go back and forth and, you know, actually taste the whiskey without looking at the bottle and know what you're drinking. And then, you know, on that day, that specific time might be something that you like more than what you think you like. So, like usual, my daughter poured these whiskeys before we started filming. The answers are here in this little green envelope. And we are doing A is on my left side and B is on my right side, and let's start off with A. So I'm getting the first note that kind of hits me. It's a little bit of citrus and a good amount of cinnamon here. For some reason, the alcohol is kind of jumping out a little bit, which is kind of out of the norm for either of these. But I'm getting maybe a little bit of nuttiness, but more than anything, I'm getting like the rye, a little bit of rye spice, and like I said, like a little bit of cinnamon, baking spices. There's some sweetness coming out of this one. But it smells really good on the nose. It's sweet. It has, like I said, that rice spice sticks out a lot, and also the cinnamon note sticks out a lot. But let's go to the palate. Cheers. On the palate, it kind of like comes off a little bit like the nose. On the palate, I would say there's a vanilla note that sticks out to me, and then but that cinnamon is definitely in there, and that rye spice is coming through. Neither of these are rye whiskeys. Like I said, this is a wheat whiskey, so there is no rye in here. But as far as the Wild Turkey, it's a high rye, you know, a higher rye mash bill, but it's still not super high as far as the rye part of it. So but the way that it's tasting and the way it's coming off on the palate and the nose, I want to say that A is the Wild Turkey, but I don't want to say that for sure because I still have to go to B. All right, so on B. Oh wow, this one is as far as the nose, this one is coming off very fruity. So the first thing that hit me on the palate was like a very fruity note. There's like a apple cherry type vibe, but it stays more on the light side of fruits. And I'm getting a good amount of caramel in here. There's a little bit of spice coming through on the nose. As far as the oak, I'm not necessarily picking up any oak, or not too much oak. There's just a little bit, but not like heavy on the oak. But what stands out on B is the fruit aspect of it, how much fruit forward it is, and it stays on the lighter side of things. But in my head, as far as the nose on this one, you know, I want to say that kind of confirms what I was thinking. This one smells a lot like the Maker's Mark 101, but let's go to the palate. now I'm a little bit confused because I'm getting a decent amount of spice in this in glass B. It was fruit forward as well on the palate, but I got a good amount of spice. But wow, that's really, I'm kind of confused. As far as the palate, I'm confused. I thought I had it when I smelled both of them on the nose, but now I'm a little bit confused. Let me go back and forth. Yeah, so going back and forth on the nose, stuff starts to come forward more. By the way, those of you that haven't tried that or may not know, if you try two different whiskeys back to back, or even, you know, nose them and then you taste them back and forth, a lot of notes that you didn't know were in there or that just didn't stick out to you a lot, they start to come forward more when you go with two whiskeys back to back and forth. It just kind of like brings out certain notes that you didn't notice before you did that. So that's kind of like a good exercise to try to improve your nose and your palate. Works for me. I mean, you know, you never know. But I noticed that the second time around, there's still a good amount of cinnamon coming through on this and a good amount of rice spice. But one thing that kind of like stuck out a little bit this second time I nosed it on glass A is a little bit of nuttiness, and getting that little bit of nuttiness kind of like puts me back where I thought I was, because Wild Turkey is known for you know, having some nuttiness in it, and that kind of like is leaning me towards glass A being the Wild Turkey. As far as the nose, I prefer the nose on B. It's just more welcoming, and it's more I would say easy on the nose, and the nose is better on B. As far as when I went back and forth, I like what's coming out of the nose more on B than in A. But as far as the palate, let me go back one more time and kind of like see what stands out. Yeah, so this second time on the palate, that nuttiness definitely is coming through more. I didn't notice it the first time as far as the nose and the palate, but this second time it definitely, that nuttiness is coming through. Those baking spices, vanilla, there's a good amount of vanilla, and that rice spice is becoming more noticeable now on the palate. But I like that. I like the palate on A. I feel like there's a little bit of everything in there, and I kind of like that variety in the palate. I kind of like what it's offering. But let me go to B. I really like the nose on B. I like those sweet fruit forward smelling whiskeys. It just like really gets me. It smells really good. It has a good palate too, but I feel like if I'm comparing it to glass A, that's where it kind of begins to fall apart a little bit. I feel like while it's fruit, you know, it's still fruit forward on the palate, I feel like towards the middle and back end, it kind of like becomes like a one-trick pony, you know, like there's not much there. It's very good, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like compared to glass A gives you a little bit of everything, and I definitely like the rice spice in a whiskey, and I like it even has a little bit of oak and the cinnamon. I really like those notes that stick out. It has a good amount of vanilla in the front and a good amount of sweetness and nuttiness, just a little bit of everything, and I love that, you know, that it offers a little bit of everything. And just I feel like glass A, the finish on glass A stays around longer than glass B. I feel like glass B, once it hits the back of your throat, it's pretty much like almost instantly gone, and I feel like glass A lingers more. But so as far as my final thoughts, my first place today, I'm gonna pick glass A. I just feel like while it fell short as compared to B on the nose, what counts the most is the palate, and I feel like Glass A was definitely way better than Glass B. I just feel like it offered more, it stayed around more on the palate, and if I had to choose, I would choose A all the time because it offers so much on the palate. But as far as my opinion, I'm sticking to it. I think Glass A is Wild Turkey 101, and I feel like Glass B is Maker's Mark 101. I hate doing blinds because I've been so wrong so many times on the channel. So every time I do a blind, I'm pretty wrong, and I feel like this time is gonna be it again. But here we go. All right, so Glass A was Wild Turkey 101, and Glass B was Maker's Mark 101. So yeah, I just felt like I know these whiskeys very well, and yeah, like the Wild Turkey 101, it's just a classic, and I feel like it's one of my favorites for a reason, because anytime I've done it in a blind, it always does really good. It always stands up to even whiskeys that are way more expensive than this, and this one I can find for 18 bucks, you know, so I just feel like, and this one goes for around the $30 to $35 mark, and I just feel like the Wild Turkey 101 for that price, definitely if you do it blind, it can beat out a lot of, you know, more expensive whiskeys, and you know, this proved it right here today again. I just felt like it offered more, and there's a reason that I always keep this in my bar, and I just feel like, you know, it's one of my favorite cheap whiskeys for a reason. So if you like my content, remember to hit that like button, remember to subscribe. You can catch me on Instagram at LegitWhiskeyReviews, and keep it legit and do it for the love of whiskey. Cheers.